Hey guys, I'm wrthcrw, a professional Apex Legends coach who's worked with over 300 students across all skill levels, both casual and professional. In today's video, I talk about how to properly play angles, cover, and swing opponents. This student was learning how to play crypto, and without any movement abilities to save you, a proper understanding of positioning and angles will help you survive when you really need to. So here, I discuss angle advantage and disadvantage and how to structure your gameplay so you take less damage overall and be able to win your fights more confidently. If you guys enjoy the coaching content, be sure to subscribe and like the video. And if you want your own personalized coaching session, be sure to check out the description below. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get in the video.
Sure.
Almost a low view. Never hit. If I hit, it's like for fucking.
Team at Cedo, for sure.
Almost a low view.
I just shot a flyer down.
Yeah, I'm a shocker.
They're flying in, they're flying in.
You can push that, Kogi.
Yeah, I'm walking up on him.
One shot.
Put me in drone,
Ooh, just got landed, okay.
Rev.
Might try to get an off hang. Yeah. Walking in.
Love is cracked.
Chasing. What?
Oh, you were just dead here? Yeah.
Bro.
Okay.
Yeah. Unlucky.
And notably, okay, so one thing I want to talk about the way you peek and fight. And a lot of these, it was evident here, and I want to make sure. A lot of these times you are at angle disadvantage.
Yeah.
When we construct how we want to take fights in Apex, there's two main things that can angle. Advantage. These are typically one, as in how many places you're from, and two, your own cover that you're playing, right?
Yeah.
And also by extension how you peek. Are you familiar with angle advantage?
Angle? Not the term, not necessarily.
Okay, so what I want to discuss here. Are you familiar with thresholds? Right.
Thresholds? I've heard like the concept and I've watched like a few of your videos, but it's like I know it'd be like a doorway or like a choke. That's like what I'm familiar with.
Yeah. Essentially, to be more, to just kind of refresh you and cover to make sure that we are on the same page here. I'm just gonna draw a box. The thresholds are going to be the lines that are kind of, if we extend the geometry of the box, this is what it ends up looking like. These lines are very important because they signify two very important parts of the geometry and our relationship to these. One most important rule you need to remember is that you have to cross it confidently and as fast as possible. Because Apex is a game that has a ton of non-traditional gameplay elements and a lot of non-traditional movement elements, like tap strafing, super gliding, slide jumping, wall bouncing, all of that stuff, right? There's a huge because there's a lot of that. We need to make sure that we utilize it in relation to other geometry that we're playing around. The most simple way to do this is we want to get out of it. We want to get out ASAP. We want to get out of this threshold as fast as possible. When we're peeking this threshold like this, right? Let's say we're here and we peek out this way. We have angle disadvantage here because we can get peeked from everywhere like this, right? Everywhere that we can reasonably see, even areas that we can't see, can see us here, right? So if we peek out slowly like this, everyone's point of focus is going to be the corner here. If you were to reasonably think about it, if you're the opponent and you know that somebody's behind this cover, where are you aiming? Not on the cover and not out here. You're aiming at like the gap in between this, like right here, right? And so that's where every opponent, even if they're not good at the game, is going to aim at. Basically, guarantee that you're going to funnel and take a lot of damage by crossing out into the open. This isn't the worst. This isn't always bad, however. The main advantage that this has is peak time. So, for example, if you are peeking outward. So let's say there's like 3 people, and you know where all of them are. There's like here, here, and like here. If you peek this, you have the opportunity to peek out, deal damage, back in, peek out, deal damage, peek back in. Where if we take a more systematic peek, like all the way back here, it's a longer time to return to cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does this relationship make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do we avoid angle? How do we avoid angle disadvantage here? The best way to do this is to understand that we want to kind of treat the angle as something like a pivot, as I like to call it.
Mm.
We're taking the point in the middle, or a point not too far from cover. So if we were in like a doorway here, we would do it straight in the center. And because it's like a box, we're going to go just like, I would say like 5 units out, something like that. And we're going to anchor a lot of our movement towards the pivot, and we're going to create a half circle around it and where we want to engage where we peek from. So for example, if we peek something, let's say we peek something like this. You don't have angle disadvantage here because you're taking a 1-to-1 angle, right? You can see this guy I can see you, no one else can engage with you if you know where all the opponents are, right? Now if we kill this guy or clear this angle, we can now take a peek like this. We know that somebody here can't peek us from there. This is how we get angle advantage or angle equality. When we have angle advantage, we are forcing our opponents to peek us because of something short, right? So for most players in Apex will simply peek a wall. They will just peek it like this every single time. You see like everybody in the game do this all the time. They don't realize the angle disadvantage this causes. If an opponent has limited space to where they can maneuver with, because this is all assuming that you have space that you can move backward through, right? This is assuming that you have all of this space back here to maneuver with. If an opponent is trapped in a small area, or if you are trapped in a small area, this angle disadvantage is mostly solved through ability usage. For example, you obviously smoke this, you grenade it, and then you swing out here and then treat this as an angle. This is why Bangalore is really, really good, because she turns these open fields and open areas into basically a new piece of cover to where you can gain angle advantage from off of literally nothing, right? Because you're the one that places the smoke, you're the one that's in fine control. You're basically just Fortnite building around with smokes for a period of time, right? And so when you're peeking all of the time, a lot of your movement hygiene is really poor, because you don't necessarily focus on crossing this threshold very confidently and very in tune with core element to get across it fast as possible, which is slide jumps. So for example, we want to time our slide jump. Slide jumps have a 3-second cooldown, basically. We want to make sure we use this dash to, like, we start it here and keep the bulk of the speed right when we cross, right? The problem becomes, or rather, failing to do this and just kind of slide jumping without intention here. You probably will either start slide jump here and then slow down, so you just kind of end up peeking the exact same way you would if you would have walked out here, or you just walk out the corner and then you basically just lose all angle advantage here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is this difficult to conceptualize? Would you like another example?
No, it's not too bad.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I'm walking up on him.
Yeah, and so you cross this angle.
The ones on the rock. Yeah.
Yeah, you like walk up to the box, and then you take the closest angle on the box, and then peek it with the most angle disadvantage on this guy. And sure, you don't take that. You don't take that much damage here because he's so low, but he still does like what? I mean,
I'm walking up on him.
You do get shot from the building. To be fair too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he still does like 100 damage to you right here, which is a lot for somebody that's that low with, I think, double nose am. It looks like he hit 3 shots on you, or was like headshot, body shot. If you slid around the corner here, not only is it proper form to get past the threshold, it also allows you, because you have higher speed, you can limit this guy's strafe and you can force him to be pinched against the box. There's a whole slew of like strafe elements as to why that's good. Basically just giving yourself a speed boost for a short period of time. All that makes sense here?
Yeah.
No questions?
No.
Okay.
One shot.
No. Yeah.
Crack inside.
So here, especially when you are playing, when you're kind of forced to play in this building. One of the really important things I want you to understand here is kind of the ebb and flow of a lot of this fighting. The problem becomes when you're playing here, you don't really have very good specific intention with what you do. If I ask you, how do you win this fight here? Can you give me like an idea of what you were trying to go for, or even post understanding what you should do here? Like if you could have told yourself at the moment what to do. Like, how do you think you win this 2v3 here? Any idea?
I was really just trying to hold for my like teammate right there. Like if anyone like I heard the Revenant climb up and thought he was gonna go for an off angle, so I was just gonna try to hold for that, or maybe just walk out the door.
Okay.
And team shoot someone.
Okay. To me, it's basically describing the fact that you're relying on your opponents to be bad and for you to punish them, rather than you take control of the situation, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what the strongest spot in this building is?
No, I wouldn't know actually.
Okay. So let's consider our angles we have right here where you were playing, or like kind of like jiggled in between here. The door can see us, but it's a door. We can close it, obviously. We have the window over here. We have the window over here, and we have the staircase behind us. It's 4 different angles, right? Very poor. When we go down the bottom floor, there's even more windows on the bottom floor. When you were looting earlier here, right? We have window, door, stairs, right? We have 5 different areas someone can come from. And we can maybe count this as, right? This building, it seems like it sucks and it's like nigh impossible to hold if a team can angle you out on the outside. The main place you want to be able to hold here is the stairs, because if we take the stairs into account here, we have front stairs, bottom stairs, 2 angles. And sure, these angles are a little wide. You're going to have angle disadvantage here, but it's better than, having angle disadvantage by like a 90% increase by being able to be peeked from here and here and here and here. At least you can see everybody that's peeking you at one time on your screen, right? Yeah. The only problem becomes that when they start to soak resources into you, so for example, you have 2 angles here. Oh no, well, they ended up smoking this one, right? So now what do we do? They can walk to this angle for free. This kind of becomes more the ebb and flow of a lot of these fights. Do you know how to win 2v3s, like in general, like on paper?
No, I didn't even think there was like a formula. I thought it was just like,
okay,
pretty god, one of us like fucking games, but
yeah,
no.
Okay. So let me go ahead and lay this out here. So a lot of my fighting talks about the idea of leverage, right? And where you need to you want to stack as many of these as possible against your opponents, so you can fight them and win as clean as possible, right? I don't think this is a new concept to you, right?
Leverage, no.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and relist these again. We have positioning. We have both absolute and relative positioning. We have numbers advantage, which obviously you will not have because you're 2v3, right? We have loot, you may have, but it's kind of hard to control in the middle of a fight. And we have abilities and grenade usage, right? So abilities and grenade. So these weights are not equal. You can have good positioning, you can have better loot, you can have all your abilities and several grenades, and you'll still lose because it's 2v3, right? The weight that this pulls here, I like visualizing leverage as momentum, and I use this using snowballs here. So if blue is your team, right? If you lose somebody early, your snowball basically shrinks really small. The enemy's grows like 3 times in size. It is arguably harder to win 2v3 sometimes than it is to win 1v3. Because in 1v3s, they're going to be stupid and make mistakes and turbo push you. But on 2v3s, they're going to like play time, they're going to bait you out, right? It's harder to control the situation sometimes, depending on how the opponents play, right? So even if we have everything at our advantage, I would still visualize it as something like this. The core thing you need to do is focus on taking these numbers, right? So let's just say we all have purple armor, and so that's 200 HP times 3. That's 600 HP, right? 600 HP and 3 times the DPS. We need to try and equalize these fields as much as possible. I'm basically saying that we need to try and take somebody out as fast as possible. you need to kill somebody or do a shit ton of damage as much as possible. Now, how do I do that? It sounds pretty it just sounds like I said just kill them forehead. We do this by understanding two core elements. One is risk management, right? A really good example here would be something like arc stars in general, right? With arc stars, you generally don't go for sticks because it's not super like functional to do so, right? Very low chance of succeeding, and if it does, sometimes it's not even enough to really go off of, right? But in a 2v3, going for that arc star stick is a lot bigger of a deal, because if you do stick that guy and they're full sending you, well, you kill that one guy, now it's a 2v2, now it's completely winnable, right? Don't get me wrong, in a 2v3, you do have to perform mechanically well. Like, you do have to perform exceptionally to be able to pull off a 2v3 most of the time. But we need to set ourselves up to be able to swing the fight back or go for a play in general, versus not really doing anything and letting the opponent siege us, right? The other way we win this is to equalize the field as much as possible, right? So, for example, we have 600 HP. I'm just gonna rewrite this again so I can draw over it. We have 600 HP, and they have 3 times the DPS, right? And we have 400 HP and 2 times the DPS. Now, I'm sure you're aware that this multiplier of DPS is insane and matters a lot more, right? Because not only is it the ability to deal more damage, it also but with your lower overall health value, each damage point means a lot more. Cracking somebody when you're in a 3v2 means that you can basically secure the fight. But if you're 2v3 and you crack somebody, it doesn't really mean that you're going to be able to win that 2v3, right?
Yeah.
What we need to do is we need to equalize this DPS field as fast as possible, so we and the opponent are both equal to doing the same amount of damage to each other, and basically affecting our lethality. Lethality is like king in Apex. It's why controller is like arguably so good. It's why most people don't learn how to strafe, or they just straight up learn how to only strafe aim, right? Because everybody only focuses on how much they can kill somebody because the game rewards it inherently. If you're more lethal than everybody else, you're gonna win a lot of fights. Survival isn't really too much of a focus on it, right? And so I ask you, so if we take a fight and we kill somebody, right? Let's say me and my teammate turbo ape somebody, right? So we equalize the DPS. Now we have the same amount of DPS. The opponents now have 400 HP, and we now have 300 HP, right? Like, I got cracked, my teammate got cracked, maybe even both of us got cracked, right? And now we're just 200 HP. This is like infinitely more reasonable to win than the 2v3, right? A difficult uphill 2v2 is still more reasonable to win than any form of a 2v3, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're basically
Yeah, I got
looking to do something, I wouldn't say stupid, but high risk to equalize the playing field in some way. Especially because in Apex, it's obvious, the shields, it's faster to heal shields than it is to heal flesh. So especially if you thirst this guy and kill him, well, you can armor swap. Now you're 300 HP, and this field starts to get equalized even more if you're in a situation that's like, oh, well, I took 100 damage to do this, but then I just swap, and now we're literally completely equal now, right? Maybe you're missing like 25 HP, right? So now you're 375 or something. And these numbers are close enough that if you have something like loot or even more abilities than they do, like you're playing like just inherently a better comp that has more utility than they do, you can win off that alone. But we have to set it up in a way to where we do that, and we need to understand how to make plays off that. Risk management, it's very important to make sure that we practice this very well, because risk management, we want to minimize risk overall. There are times where we want risk because the reward is equivalent, right? This kind of shifts in a comp format because we have points rather than just like RP or fight-based learning, whatever, right? Like, there's an actual tangible reward. In ranked, the tangible reward is a lot less real because it's just rank points. You can just get them again another day. But still, the idea of this risk versus reward, right? If you're in a 2v3, you're already in a fight. You're going to die, right? And the risk is that you die, and the reward is that you win the fight, right? Well, the problem is, or rather, the solution is that you're gonna die anyway. So does this really cost anything to do? Absolutely not, right? In fact, if we are trying to assert control over the situation in a certain way, that actually gives us more mileage to be able to bot review ourselves and talk and say, hey, was the plan a good one? You know, did I just end up suiciding? How could I have structured this around differently, right? A lot of people will struggle to bot review situations like this because they just go, I don't know what I could have done. But you just need to do something aggressive. You need to try and take the tempo back. You need to try and take any form of control you can back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So typically when teams are sieging you, so this is a siege, right?
Yeah.
When teams are sieging you, the advantage, so defenders always have an advantage in most FPS games, just because they're the ones taking control of these strong areas. They're taking control of the high ground, linear angles, thresholds, whatever, right?
Yeah,
It's
like Counter-Strike.
Huh?
Oh, like Counter-Strike, like CS or like Valorant, no?
Yeah. And so the attackers have to understand that they are the ones that have to sink resources in first to equalize the playing field, right? For example, if we have a high ground here, and we have, like, we are up here, the Horizon team can't use the Q in a stupid way. They have to use the Q to equalize the field so they can get up here. And even then, you can still shoot the Horizon and lift. I wouldn't say this is equal. It gets close to equalizing it, but isn't quite equal, right? But compare that to when you're 1v1ing a Horizon in the open, right? And you hit the Horizon for like 100, and then she does the stupid bullshit with her lift, and she goes wee 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 wee, and then you can't hit her. And then, but like this usage of the lift is so much more selfish and so much more impactful for her lethality towards the team because she has a get out of jail free card, right? So inherently, attackers have to spend more resources to win than defenders do. And so, what we need to do? So what we need to do is, if we draw, let's just redraw the building. Kind of vague. This isn't gonna be perfect, but like, door here, door here, door like here. There's like a window here too, on like both sides, and there's like a door like right here, and I think there's like a window right here, like that. Right? Doesn't really matter too much. We have the stairs. So, the important thing is that the attackers have to respect you, some aspect. They have, because if they just walk in here and then you peek this and then you one mag this guy, well, they just threw so bad, right? This is kind of the play that you're expecting them to make, because you're just kind of defaulting to a strong spot, hoping that they come to you and make a mistake, or because you're playing so focused with your teammate, which isn't inherently a bad thing, playing with your teammate right there. But they inherently have to respect you, figure out where you are, figure out how to siege you, figure out where to put their smokes and stuff, right? We can use this to our advantage, because a lot of time when people are sieging you, they're either going to be 3 deep, they're just going to stack on top of each other and run through one all together, or they're going to be completely opposite, where they are split, right? So if you think about a caustic team in a building, right? You guys shouldn't just all 3 sit on the same angle, because you guys are going to get caustic ulted, or they're going to like swing out on you and kill you, or you're going to lose one on the trade because you're all peeking the same thing, right? It's hard to win in situations like that, right? So a lot of time people will take different angles to try and siege the building in different ways. I mean, you saw it here. Some guy was shooting you in the window here while your teammate was shooting at the door here, and then another guy's probably like down here or something, right? They're taking different angles to siege the building. What you want to try and do is you want to try and flip this on its head and become the attacker, right? This is called countersieging, right? This is the idea that, I mean, if you picture like a medieval lord in his castle, they're not like, Lord, they're pillaging us. He goes, oh no, right? Like, they're holding up a defense, and they're usually waiting for reinforcements to come from the outside so they can launch a counterattack on the people that are sieging the castle. They're not going to win by just sitting outside the castle. The people outside can control food or water and stuff like that. It's very similar. It's a very similar concept in Apex that it is to real life warfare. we need to make sure that if we are in control of the fight, so we are the ones swinging, we are the ones initiating, we are the ones that inherently control the tempo of the fight. And we need to do this so we force the opponents to be uncomfortable and potentially make a mistake, or we have our own advantage lead here that we're capitalizing on, just building our snowball further and further. In every single situation, other than one where you declare that you have a strong enough spot that you want the opponents to come to you, this building's not the case. I can tell you're uncomfortable in this building. I know that's not what you want them. What you want is for them to come to you, right? So you have to make a play of some sort to re-swing tempo back, even if it's a stupid play. Then I could actually give you an analysis of, oh, what you swung here was bad, or what you swung here was good, or whatever you did here, X and Y, right? That makes sense?
Yeah, I get it. Like the like the concept of countersieging. You want the, I guess, what is it? I guess pressure one of the like opponents like trying to take out an off angle, and you build up a, I guess, a snowball to,
Yeah.
Yeah. Put the momentum back.
If the snowball analogy, or if you potentially struggle with the snowball analogy to kind of visualize it, you can always use my second one is usually like tug of war, where each people are pulling on the rope, but you don't have enough strength to constantly pull the rope at full strength. That's ridiculous, right? The opponent's just gonna play on the defensive and then pull back when you're weak. You can view it the kind of the exact same way. Once we start to learn kind of the more intricate reasons as to how we can push people, right? Because like a pro player is going to see somebody not look for 2 seconds, walk up in the 3rd second, and then be on the building, catch somebody off guard because they don't hear them, or whatever, right? Better and better players are going to be able to push off smaller and smaller advantages. But just focus on the fundamental of when we should swing somebody or what we should do. The last idea I want to discuss in countersieging is the idea of flushing. So earlier, I kind of alluded to this a little bit. So you're playing the stairs here, right? When playing the stairs here, it's very easy because this is the strongest spot in the building. Yes, but it is very easy to just have somebody like you're playing the head glitch right here. You take this trade, you do 100 damage, you take like 50, and somebody else peeks, your teammate does 100, and they take 50, and then it's like, well, they're not going to push now. You can't really push into them because you're kind of equal, right? And so what they're going to do is they're just going to nade stack the hell out of you, right? They're going to roll frags onto you, they're going to arc star your back wall, they're going to throw a therm like right here so you can't see, right? And so what in the world do you do now? Because now you have a spot where you can't really do anything, right? Well, if this person's right here, worst case scenario, we want to flush. And flushing basically just means that you are taking all of your resources and swinging it somewhere else. We want to just walk out of the building and play together, so we recontextualize the fight in a new area because they've sunk resources into it and we're not sinking resources by flushing, right? Because if you have all of your smokes and everything, you can swing outside the building, come over here, and now all your opponents come from this side, especially if there's cover over here. So there isn't really right here, but as a metaphorical example, you can start to take fights like this, start to take trades like this. Now they have to walk up to you and take space. Space is the greatest thing that you could control in a multi-stage fight, because you can always give a space up. It's hard to take the space back, but if you can continually back up, you give yourself more and more opportunities. Eventually, it's likely that someone's going to come third party, which gives you more opportunities, right? It lets you play this more. It lets you play safer and play more opportunistically. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Flushing is typically really good with certain ults, bang ult, because they can't play outside. Typically going to walk in a building or come split because of it for some reason, and then if you flush onto a person, you and your teammate just kill that guy, right? And if you kill that guy, then you equalize the 2v3. It like ties together. It can potentially tie together all the concepts I talked about, right? So in these fights, I just want you to see TLDR. I just want to see you do something. I want you to see you try and make a play, even if it's stupid.
Nothing's happening.
Yeah. Especially because your opponent's playing a door here. They're in control of how they pace the fight. If they fuck up their door peak, I mean, again, it's a 2v3. You're both gonna have to play really well, or you're gonna have to play even more exceptionally well if your teammate throws. So it's kind of hard to
Rev.
of hard to give feedback because
Or
it's
should I go
more
offing?
so
Yeah.
you haven't structured it right. You both have to play well, all that.
Bro, who?
Where did you actually get L-Star from? The building? This guy's feathering an L-Star in the door in the
Ooh.
building. That's insane. Guy hates you.
I can drop you souls, bigger. Yeah.
My biggest top. Thank you, though.
Walking in.
I said my biggest top. That dude on the.
I
fucking
know.
building,
I
bro.
fucking
Yeah.
know, dude. He just shot you twice and was like, I'm done.
Close hook.
2 teams trying to walk in.
So I want to ask you here.
Yeah.
When you're peeking this right here, do you have angle advantage or disadvantage?
Absolutely.
Hmm?
No, I think I'm tucking. I mean, I'm peeking here would be like too long now. Like, I'm on low ground. He probably has a set on me.
Yeah, you're on low ground threshold right here. This is where they're
Yeah.
naturally gonna look. You have to cover 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Oh,
6, like 7, 8, 9. Like there's so many places somebody can peek you from. And if someone's peeking out this window here, they are looking this way. They have cover that they can go to much easier, right? This linear POV that they're gonna have to limit where you are. It's basically the exact same thing with this threshold, where you're making a half circle around it and you're getting specifically a small angle. You can do this is basically what windows and doors provide because they are themselves limited. So you use the limited geometry to get angle advantage here. This, for example, you literally can't miss your shots here if someone's right there, unless they're like further than like this. I would say. If they're further than that, you also can just peek this a lot wider because they aren't holding you up close. If you are gonna peek like this, which is it's not always bad. It's not always bad to peek like this.
Yeah.
When you have angle disadvantage, further angle disadvantage isn't multiplicative. It's just bad in the same way every single time. But so if you're already gonna have angle disadvantage, feel free to just stack more angle disadvantage. Okay. So this peek isn't always bad because it does give you a lot of information. You're just not looking to fight or kill off of this positioning, right?
Yeah.
I can drop you souls, bigger. Yeah.
I have 6. Thank
So
you.
I wouldn't peek that a second time now. I would try and either go in the building, peek from the window, or I'd peek from the other side. I would peek from over here maybe, and then get a more linear view on the side of the building from this way. And then especially because if you just peek this, well, if someone shoots you, you're looking that way, right? So they're gonna continue looking this way, and then once you take a while, then they're gonna kind of reset and try to look more ways, try and try and figure out where you are, what you're doing.
Walking in fast. 1 down.
Oh, yeah, in the open. Close hook.
2 teams trying to walk in.
Honestly, here on crypto, you should be on your drone.
Yeah. Drone boy.
Drone boy, you should be on iPad baby. You should iPad baby.
I'm gonna fucking
Slow
look
horizon
west.
behind that rock.
Yeah, hold on. Fire cave.
Okay.
Hold on.
This is unlucky, but also there's no reason not to go in the building on your drone.
Yeah.
You are exposed from nowhere inside the building. Here, you're exposed to a whole right side where people were just said to walk in from. I think this comes from the idea. Who do you usually play in like rank, for crypto?
In probably like Catalyst or Watson.
So if you're playing Cat or Watson here, you're probably anchoring more towards the building, right? Anyway, like playing inside because Catalyst, doors, goo, whatever, right? You should be viewing it very similarly because the way the characters have to play around this fact. I mean, Crypto doesn't have any door abilities. He's a fucking drone boy. But you need to leverage positioning way stronger as characters that don't have selfish or interpersonal mobility. Bangalore, Wraith.
Yeah.
You can't get out of these situations as well as the other players can. So realistically, I mean, if someone evac'd onto your roof right now, you would be fucked, right? They would just be on top of you no matter what. You should at least be in the building to some extent to be able to control it. There's windows up there. There's a lot you can still do from inside the building and be completely safe no matter what.
Fire cave.